This is the news on the hour brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN Television. I am Nzubechi Frank. You're welcome. Ministers of God have been appealed to preach the message of salvation, transformation, and the message that would bring people close to God. The Bishop of Mbamili Diocese, Anglican Communion, the Right Reverend Henry Okeke, made this appeal while speaking on the topic, I Sought for a Man.
There is only one way to be assured of salvation. There is only one way into heaven. There is only one way to have a resting place, or to have the rest that God gives. Only one way. And that's what the Apostle Peter tries to say in the New Testament when he was addressing the crowd. When he said there is salvation in no other way, neither is there salvation in any man, in any other way, in any other man. Not even in heaven or on earth or beneath the earth. There is only one way to salvation. And that only way is Jesus. And Jesus himself said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And I want to invite all of us to this important assignment by God to preach salvation message. Ministers of the gospel, preach salvation message. Soul winners, preach salvation message. Disciplers, preach salvation message. Market women, preach salvation message. Share your testimonies with others. Civil servants, preach salvation message. Big men, poor people, preach salvation message. Begin with what Jesus has done in your life. Even if you don't need to know the theology of salvation before you lead somebody to Christ. You don't need it. I want to appeal to church people, whether here or anywhere, religious people that are filled with beehive of activities, to seek Jesus, to know Jesus, to enthrone Jesus into their hearts. Want to appeal to ministers of the gospel anywhere in the world to enthrone Jesus and no other. To accept Jesus, to open the door of your heart, their hearts, for the Lord Jesus. To preach no other message for salvation except Jesus. To introduce the person of Jesus in the hearts of people. And to lead people to him, the only one that can save them. Want to appeal to ministers of the gospel anywhere in the world to know that at a time like this, the greatest and the highest message people need is the salvation of their souls and the consistency in living for him.
Away from church news, the federal government has announced that it will begin the deduction of the 614 billion naira bailout funds it gave to states for payment of salaries of workers in 2016. It will be recalled that the federal government gave out the loans to 35 states as conditional budget support provided by the CBN to help them pay salaries, gratuities, and pensions. The loans were provided by the CBN at 9%, with a grace period of 2 years, while the Federal Ministry of Finance helped in the disbursement with documented approval by the Presidency. Speaking at a public consultative forum on the draft 2020 to 2022 medium-term expenditure framework fiscal strategy paper in Abuja, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, said that the deduction would commence in the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee provision for states this month. She said that the funds would be deducted from source and remitted to the Central Bank of Nigeria, adding that the refund would not form part of the revenue for funding the budget. The National Assembly State Houses of Assembly Election Petitions Tribunal sitting in Enugu has affirmed the election of Honorable Patrick Asadu representing Nsukka Igbo Eze South in the House of Representatives. Asadu's victory was challenged by engineer Ike Ugwegede and his party, the All Progressive Congress. Ugwegede had, through his counsel, Bello, claimed that there was substantial non-compliance with the Electoral Act, and as such, the election should be nullified. He told the tribunal that Regulation 39, Sub 7 of the INEC guidelines for the 2019 general elections makes it mandatory for the results to be dated, stamped, and signed. But the respondents, the INEC, Asadu, and the PDP, has countered his claims, urging the tribunal to dismiss the petition for lack of merit. Delivering its judgment, the tribunal led by Honorable Justice Kerang said the first and the second respondents were not linked directly to any of the criminal allegations raised by their petitioners. It therefore held that on the whole there was nothing before the court to support the grounds of the petition. Reacting to the judgment, one of the lead counsels of the PDP, Barrister Jude Chukwuma Ezema, described the judgment as an affirmation of the people's mandate. Barely 24 hours after an attack on Kukokoi village in Shiroro local government area of Niger State, bandits have again sacked 3 more communities in Rafi local government area. The communities ransacked include Rafi Waya, Rafi Kwakwa, and Gidan Dogo Guruguru village. It was learnt that the heavily armed bandits rode motorcycles numbering about 30, carrying 3 people each, ransacked the 3 communities and forced them to run to Kagara, the headquarters of Rafi local government area. An eyewitness, Malam Dahiru, said the bandits encircled them at Rafin Wariam village and took bread and beverages before they left to Pangugari community. An exodus of escapees from the 3 villages, numbering hundreds, had opened 4 camps in Kagara. The Niger State Police Commissioner Adamu Usman also confirmed the incident. Usman said that the police are reviewing the security architecture of communities in the hitherland because it appears they are prone to this type of security breach. He assured that the bandits would be apprehended and brought to book soon. The immediate past governor of Imo State, Senator Rogers Okorocha, has lamented the humiliating treatment meted out on him by his party, the All Progressive Congress, APC, in spite of his sacrifices and financial contributions to the party. Okorocha, the senator representing Imo West Senatorial District, told newsmen in Abuja that he got evil reward from APC for his commitment to the cause of the party, especially in the southeast. He noted that he had to go contrary to his kinsmen and political associates just to ensure that the party was placed on a sound footing in Imo and in the southeast, but was surprised that he was rewarded with suspension. We shall now go on a short commercial break. News on the Hour continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
The peace of the Lord be always with you.
It is indeed right. It is our duty and joy at all times and in all places to give you thanks and praise. Holy Father.
How well do you know the Anglican Church, her origin and historical facts? What do you know about the polity, colors, doctrinal practices, administrative structures, and seasons of the Church? Find answers to this on the Anglican Ambassador, a program aimed at shedding light on the Anglican ethos and celebrating its rich heritage, now showing on this station.
You are welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to the international scene. As Hurricane Dorian leaves a trail of devastation in the Bahamas, the priest at St. Stephen's Anglican Church in Grand Bahamas has asked for prayer for all those affected. Giving an update on a local TV station, Kirkland Roselle said the slow-moving Hurricane Dorian had been lingering over the island, bringing a threatening storm surge and trauma to many people. Grand Bahamas is the northernmost island of the Bahamas archipelago in the Atlantic Ocean. The clergyman said his community had no electricity and the water had been turned off. He asked for prayers and support for all those suffering and the families of those who have already been killed. The storm surge was estimated at anywhere from 15 to 23 feet. And according to Mr. Russell, most hurricanes, when they pass through, move at 10 to 13 meters per hour. This hurricane has been doing 1 meter per hour for almost 24 hours. The priest said he believed people will have lingering trauma after the storm passes. He informed the media that some church halls were serving as shelters. Satellite images showed large areas on the water, including the Grand Bahama International Airport and the town of Marsh Harbor on Abaco Island. At least 30 people are known to have been killed, but the death toll is expected to rise. A coalition of Episcopalians and Alaskan conservationists will take its battle to protect the Arctic to decision makers in Washington this month. The U.S.-based Episcopal Church Task Force on Care of Creation and Environmental Racism is continuing its fight to prevent drilling from disrupting the ecology of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge's most sensitive area in the northeast corner of Alaska. At 19.6 billion acres, it is the largest wildlife refuge in the United States, stretching from the forest of Alaska's interior to the Arctic Ocean. The coalition will be lobbying ahead of a vote expected in the House of Representatives this month to restore protections against drilling after the area was opened up in 2017. According to campaigners perpetuating the burning of fossil fuels, drilling in the refuge would contribute to the effects of the climate crisis that are being felt more severely in Alaska than almost anywhere else. The state has warmed twice as fast as the rest of the U.S. in the past 60 years. Amid recorded high temperatures, the sea ice that once protected coastal villages from erosion has dramatically retreated, causing problems for native subsistence hunters and putting whole villages under threat of sinking. A group of 15 Brazilian bishops representing the Anglican Church in Brazil have called on their government to take action to stop the spread of fires in the Amazon. When first, a pastoral letter from the House of Bishops of the Episcopal Anglican Church of Brazil stated they were facing the worst wave of fires in Brazil for 7 years. They wrote that for more than 2 weeks, the Amazon forest has been on fire, burnt by greed and hatred. They also alleged that those fires are not the result of drought, nor the result of natural hazards, but rather the actions orchestrated by people representing agribusinesses, land grabbers, and prospectors encouraged by the president's speeches and statements. According to the bishops, the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has urged that the National Institute for the Environment was a tax industry and that his government would not regulate any more natural or indigenous reserves. The church leaders are critical of the president's stance on the environment, which he claimed was delaying Brazil's progress. The strongly worded pastoral letter said that Anglican Christians cannot be silent, but must reclaim the Anglican marks of mission to safeguard the integrity of creation, transform the unjust structures of society, and challenge violence of every kind, respecting the dignity of every human being and seeking peace and reconciliation. They said this while also urging the people to pray for the Amazon. China has said it will spare a number of U.S. products from punitive tariffs in what is seen as an olive branch by Beijing in the protracted trade war ahead of high-level talks next month. However, the goods do not include big-ticket agricultural items that could be crucial to the ultimate sources of success of any agreement between the two sides, whose standoff is dragging on the global economy. The exemptions will become effective on September 17th and be valid for a year, according to the Customs Tariff Commission of the State Council, which released two lists that include seafood products and anti-cancer drugs. The list marks the first time Beijing has announced products to be excluded from tariffs. Other categories that will become exempted includes alfalfa pellets, fish feed, medical linear accelerators, among others, while the Commission said it was also considering further exemptions. Trade negotiations have said they will meet in Washington in early October, raising hopes for an easing of tension between the world's two biggest economies. Both sides imposed fresh tit-for-tat tariffs on September 1st in the latest round of levies, which now covers goods worth hundreds of billions of dollars. China's economy grew 6.2% on year in the second quarter, the lowest rate in nearly 3 decades. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump said the weight of the protracted trade war is damaging China more than the U.S. But experts have warned that there are signs the U.S. is also feeling the pinch, with job creation slowing across major industries last month. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has said that the European Union should not make any further concessions to Britain, which now seems set to leave the bloc without an agreement. He said during a debate in Parliament that a hard Brexit without an agreement has become the most likely scenario. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson suspended Parliament on Tuesday following a series of bruising clashes with MPs over his Brexit plan, but insisted he was making every effort to strike an exit deal with the EU. The Conservative leader has faced intense opposition in the House of Commons to his threat to leave the bloc without agreeing on exit terms with Brussels. Before he suspended Parliament, MPs rushed through legislation requiring Johnson to postpone Brexit by 3 months if he fails to secure a deal at an EU summit on October 17th till 18th. Sanchez said Spain, the #1 destination for British nationals living outside Britain, is prepared for all Brexit scenarios, and said Spanish citizens and companies did not have to worry. And now to sports news. Super Eagles coach Gernot Rohr reacted to the 2-2 scored draw against Ukraine in an international friendly in Dnipro on Tuesday night. The West Africans tormented the host defense in the first half and led 2-0 at the break, courtesy of debutant Rangers midfielder Joe Aribo and Lille striker Victor Osimhen's goal. But Andrei Shevchenko-led side finally broke the Nigerian resistance in the 78th minute, thanks to Manchester City star Alexandra Zinchenko's brilliant finish, and Roman Yaremchuk netted a controversial equalizer to draw the host level. The German tactician Rohr, speaking to reporters after the international encounter in Dnipro, admitted that it was a game of 2 halves. According to him, the match was a wonderful test as both opponents demonstrated high-quality football. The Franco-German also replied in the negative when asked if he would prefer to be grouped together with Ukraine in an official tournament. Ukraine is on the 25th place in the FIFA ranking, leads in its Euro 2020 qualifying group, and most likely will advance into the final part of the European Championship. Super Eagles' next game is a 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Benin in November. So that's it on this edition of the News on the Hour. I want to thank you for watching. I am Zubechi Frank.